Hergé's Adventures of Tintin. Yeah, some original artwork from Hergé himself, the Belgian cartoonist who invented the Adventures of Tintin. Has just been sold for, I don't know, £300,000 or something like that. Might have been euros. But the interesting thing for me was there was a piece of artwork from the book Destination Moon. I think I've read most of them. I can certainly remember that one. It was this one was signed by the I don't know, some of the people who pretended to go to the moon, some of the Freemasons that went on the soundstage and faked the moon landings. And guess what? Nobody wanted to buy that one. Funny that, isn't it? Do you think it's because people are waking up and realizing it's all fake, nonsense? To use my favourite word, bullshit. Let's hope so. I'd like to talk a little bit about the well, we know the North Polar region, what it's supposed to be, and what they're not telling us about it is there's a huge magnetic, a huge magnetically charged object there. That's why all the compasses on Earth point in that direction. You don't get them you don't get compasses that point south. The needle, it might say S, and the red needle side is pointing S, but just remember the opposite way is pointing where? Yes, north, because that's the only thing that attracts the magnet, the compass, you know. So the North Pole is certainly not what they're telling us, and the South Pole doesn't exist. Now, for all you people who still believe in the spinning ball nonsense, do you realise that millions of people have circumnavigated the Earth from west to east, and nobody has ever circumnavigated the Earth north-south. They haven't started off at the North Pole, gone all the way around and come back to the North Pole. I know for a globe believer you probably think that's possible, but no, it isn't. It's because it's not a ball, and that's why nobody's done it. Now, there is a character called Ranulph Fiennes, you know, or Ranulph Fiennes, I think is how you pronounce it. But no, I'm not one of those people who say grand pricks. Although, why not? Why shouldn't we say that? We're nearly out of Europe. Okay, so this guy, you know, he's probably owes the mafia a lot of money. That's why he has no finger ends left, because they keep chopping one off with a cleaver or something, you know. Probably a coke addict or something. Anyway, this plummy gobbed dickhead says that he's done it. But he didn't do it in one. No, he didn't. He set off on Tuesday and having done it, come back on a Monday. I'm not saying it took him 6 days. I'm saying he didn't actually do it in a wanna. But he didn't do it at all. But he claimed to have done it in sections. Well, I'm sorry, but if I had to run a marathon, I couldn't run a mile one day and 2 miles the next day until I'd done the 26 and a bit miles or whatever it is that a marathon distance is. No, that wouldn't count. Of course, I've run several marathons, if that's the case. Actually, I've never run one or one half marathon. Do you see what I mean? You get me? But if you are of logic mind, you will understand what I'm saying. Now, I've just got to pause it for a little while because I can hear my kettle is boiling and I'm desperate for a cup of tea. I could murder now. Yeah. And I'm back in the room. I'm not a murderer, but I could murder a cup of tea. So this character, Ranulph Fiennes, it turns out he's a cousin of the Queen. Oh, well, he's a trustworthy guy then, obviously. Because the Queen wouldn't do anything to upset anybody, would her? Any of her subjects or any of her family? They're not dodgy, are they? There's no paedophiles or rapists or bigamists or nothing like no. So that's fine then. I know that you'd say, well, they're just a general cross section of the rest of the community. No, I don't accept that. I just don't, because they are a highly privileged family, and they certainly don't deserve that just by birth. I think, well, it doesn't really matter what I think, about this, but meritocracy is better than the what's it called when you hand things down. You understand. They don't deserve to be to have all that so-called well, they say they don't have any power, but they do have power. Otherwise, the Prime Minister wouldn't have to go and see the monarch every week, would they now? No, of course not. And if the Queen or the royal family were really looking after their subjects, then she would give her vast estates and just maybe keep half of one, or just a nice decent townhouse somewhere to live in, a family house, and she'd donate the rest of her property to the needy, the less fortunate, the homeless, people like that, because then she would be looking after her subjects. She would get great respect from her subjects, me included, but that ain't gonna happen. I'm obviously a Republican. I don't think that any person should claim to be better than anybody else in to have privileges. That's just not it's not a good way. It doesn't really it doesn't promote understanding and fairness and all that in society. But then in a capitalist society, you couldn't have that anyway, because we're all supposedly striving to be better than the other man, and the competitiveness must reign. No, I'm not a big fan, but I'm not a fan of everybody gets a prize at sports day, because that's not a merititious way either. But it's a very difficult one, isn't it? Trying to sort society out, but capitalism, the way it's run at the moment, doesn't work. Doesn't work anyway, not for me. And I don't mean I'm suffering in particular, but I see suffering, and this benefits thing that's going on at the moment is just another example of the way that they keep messing about with it. They're trying to chip away that little bit of money that they do give up, and this country is, the UK is supposedly Is it the 4th, 5th, 6th richest on the plane? And yet we can't look after the people who are less well off, less fortunate. And a society is judged on how it looks after its less well off and the elderly and such like. Anyway, let's lift the tone right back up. In fact, enormously far up, and let's talk about the fake space. Fake space for the human race. It sounds like a song lyric. Now, when I was a little boy, I was going to go on my holidays to the moon. It may be even Mars. There'd be people going to Mars by then. But no, that hasn't happened. All we have is people faking, pretending to be on the LISS. Oh, isn't it? It is really hilarious. If I do want, if I feel a bit glum and I want to lift my spirits up, I have a look at the latest fake station footage of the people, on the harnesses and the green screen fail and all that. The fact that little fat fucker Kelly, he's a right tosser. His wife, I think, was shot in the head. Oh yeah, of course she was shot in the head. She faked being stupid. She used to get up to the microphone and go, nah, 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 nah. And that's incredibly insulting. If you have head injuries, let me tell you. And they're obviously a fake acting type family, but this little fat fucker Kelly, Smelly Kelly he was called when he was lying about being on the fake station. Of course, the rations up there that you would be eating would be minimal, I would think. But they don't eat them little space pills. No, they don't, because they don't exist, because that's bullshit. But if he did eat little space pills, he must have eaten several thousand of them, and they must all have been made of lard, because he actually was fatter when he came back. Like, I think it was it'll be there a year or some fucking stupid nonsense. So he came back, and he was a fatter bastard when he came back than when he went up. He was fat. He was a little fat fucker when he went up. When he came back down, he was even fatter. I think they had to let his boiler suit out a couple of sizes, a couple of inches maybe. And so another great role model. And then he came back down and started lying to children. He pretended to come back down. Of course, when we see them, the thing coming down, the capsule coming out of the air, we see it was tracked by a camera. Then it suddenly disappears, and then it's picked up again, and that happens every fucking time. So it's obviously bullshit, as it is when they go up. So they'll fire the rocket up, and then it goes out of shot, and then it comes back into shot, and then it's in outer space. Fuck off. Now, there's no way that anybody goes up there. Nobody's going to the moon. They were on about it on the radio this morning. They're going to the moon again. No, they're not. If they can't make it to the moon, they'll fake it to the moon, of course. And that's what they did before. That's what they'll do again. But they're just kicking the can down the road. It's just to pacify the NASA fanboys. When we go, no, it's bullshit. NASA fanboys are buried the head in the sand, idiots. Bye.